I'll tell you what I tell the guys. We don't glorify losing. We glorify effort. And I explained to them when before the game started, and the word of the day was giving. What are you giving? We talked about how we have managers with us. We talked about how we had alums and boosters with us, and we have coaches. Everybody's giving something. And I asked those guys before the game, what are you giving? And I said, show me that you're capable of giving more. We know what you're getting, but what are you giving? And what I thought they did was they went out and gave the best effort of the year in the most difficult situation. And I think that was the difference. I mean, some kind of way when they decide, kids they're like that. And when they decide that they want to do the right thing, and sometimes the climate is just right, and it was just the right situation for those guys to do something amazing. Obviously, we came up short, but I explained to them, and I said, you know what? I'm not going to look at the scoreboard to know if my team's on that floor. I'm going to look at the way you guys play the game. And I think they did that. And for that, I want to commend those guys because it's not easy. It was our sixth loss in a row, and it's not easy to come out every single day and play that way and play like you're a team that actually belonged on the floor and look like you belonged in the Big 12. And I think those guys represent themselves well.
Obviously you talk about not glorifying losses, and it still hurts to drop them. But can a game like that give a team that is so inexperienced and doesn't have, like you say, a lot of those experiences to draw on, give them confidence?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, especially tomorrow. I'm not saying winning or anything like that. We don't even talk about winning. We're talking about winning attitude. Let's do things that lead to winning. And then we'll take our chances there. Whether it's picking your teammate up, whether it's touching your teammate if he misses a free throw, or not bugging out during timeouts and diving on loose balls, or do every single thing that it takes to win a game, and then we'll see what the score is when the game is over, when time expires, and that's where we are. And I think that's what we did in West Virginia, and that's what we're going to attempt to do tomorrow, is do everything we can to create a winning attitude where we go out there and just bust our tails for 40 minutes and not look at the scoreboard. I know that sounds crazy, but that's where we are right now as a program in my mind. It's really about our effort every single time we go out on the floor, coming back from having a tough defeat at Oklahoma State, and going out and play the way we played at West Virginia. Now the trick is not be satisfied by what we did at West Virginia and try to duplicate that same thing going out tomorrow night.
You guys do y'all look at a team like Oklahoma and the turnaround they've been able to make in the last year as, hey, this is possible, it's quick as a year?
No question. No question. Obviously, we won't do that this year, but, obviously in the future, I've said this time and time again, I see the forest for the trees. I see light at the end of the tunnel. And obviously, some things that you can solve through coaching. There's things that you can solve through recruiting. Plain and simple, and it's just honestly speaking. But that's not our journey right now. We're more concerned of building a culture right now for this program, a culture of caring, a culture of character, and a culture of consequence. And right now, we have not earned the right to say that yet because we haven't done it yet. All we can do right now is make sure there's an unbelievable foundation of guys that have a great attitude, of guys that go to class every day, and the guys that respect their double T off the court.
And you guys went up there last time and played them really close at their own place, and then a couple things down the stretch happened where you kind of got you guys out of the game. How much has this team improved since that last matchup?
I think they've improved. I mean, obviously there's been some hiccups here and there along the way, but I think they've improved. I watched a little bit of that tape today, and we're at 5 at halftime, and there was a couple plays here and there in the first half that have killed us all year long, where we could have even had the lead in the first half. So I just think that, again, it comes down to being task completers. We're self-starters. We get it started, but we just don't complete the task for whatever reason. And sometimes it's mental, sometimes it's physical. And, right now we're at the point where we're just trying to put it together. And there was an attempt to put it together because we didn't win the game. There was an attempt to put it together Saturday, which I believe was the most difficult situation that we had all year on the road. And it's not an easy place to play. So that's encouragement in and of itself, and that's what I want to do. I want to keep my guys motivated, keep a smile on their faces, and then when game time starts, then they just transform into these hungry guys who really want to go out there and play hard. And for us, we really want to play hard at home. We really want to redeem ourselves from the Oklahoma State game because we're a lot better than that. Even though they came and jumped on us and we showed a little bit of pride and we beat them in the second half, the bottom line is we're a much better team than that team that played last week, and we want to show that.
What have you seen, from Dusty? As obviously a shooter, you go through ups and downs, but it seems as though he's kind of stuck with it, played well offensively the last 2 games. What just kind of are your impressions of the way that he's kind of battled?
I mean, obviously, Dusty's a knockdown shooter, and which is what you notice about him because that's the game, making threes. And there was a period or a lull in there where he hadn't made any. And I think people that kind of, figured him out, he wasn't a surprise on the scouting report anymore. And when we won the TCU game, people just weren't going to let him get free. And what he does is he provides spacing on the court. But that gets a little bit old, and people start figuring that out too. And then when Tolbert gets in foul trouble, it makes it harder for Dusty to get a shot. So different pieces affect other pieces when in our offense, and we're not experienced enough to create that offense on our own. A lot of us manufactured by our staff and the job that we're doing in scouting to see how we can take advantage of certain situations. So, and Dusty needs that right now. But I'll tell you this: I've been in games when Dusty was in high school when I recruited him, where he scored 50 points in a game and not make a three-pointer. So he can do other things. It's just, he's a freshman, and you want to keep him in a comfort zone. And sooner or later, he's going to have a bust-out game when he, has a 14, 15-point game and not make a three. He's capable of doing it. It's going to happen at some point. And we just got, again, I'm growing with him. Josh Gray makes more assists. We still got to cut down on the turnovers in crucial times. And I like to challenge anybody to say who starts a freshman backcourt in this country and is successful. But 2 years from now, let's see where they are. And that's where we are. That's the journey. I know people don't want to hear that, and I don't like losing, but it's where we are. And I'm going to make sure my guys understand that if they come out and they play hard and they play together and we minimize mistakes and we get 50-50 balls and don't give up second shots, we have an excellent chance to beat anybody in this league on any given night.
I mean, anytime you can go in and fight with a good team like West Virginia, that brings you confidence. And it was a tough arena to come and play in, and we knew that, and we just took it all in, and we knew it was going to be a difficult environment to try to win in. And I mean, going in there and fighting and coming out with a 2-point loss. I mean, it's still we're not happy with the loss, but we're happy with the way that we played, and we can just build off that.
When you went back and look, and the game is so close like that, were there a lot of if we had done this, or is it hard not to play that game after you?
I mean, it's so many things that I can look back on. Just even with myself, I can name 10 things that I just wish I would have did right, and it would have changed the whole game. We could have won by 10. But I mean, it's with every game you have little things you can go back and remember you should have did right.
How much, you guys go in, you play a tough team like West Virginia with all the things that went against you guys, talk about how you guys really rallied and the guys that came off the bench really rallied to help you guys, almost win that thing.
I think when we that game, we just had the right mindset. I think everybody was focused, everybody was dialed in and wanted to come out and win, and they just played their best. And we also had the boosters and stuff come with us. We had a lot of support from them. So, I mean, it was a tough environment, but we came ready to play. We just didn't pull it off.
And how did you see some of these young kids react to when things weren't going your way and you weren't getting the calls? And, was it kind of a teaching point for them that, hey, things aren't always going to go your way, you still have to play?
Yeah, I mean, we're pretty deep into conference play, so I think everybody's kind of learned that. But, I mean, you kind of just have to go back in the back of your head and remember that, I mean, it is going to be okay, later on. Because while you're dealing with a bad run or something, it kind of gets you down, kind of get deflated as far as energy, and you want to give up, but you just have to learn that, I mean, you got to fight through to the next possession.
Dusty, probably like any freshman, has had ups and downs as he's kind of trying to get acclimated and learn that people are stuck to him a lot harder.
Mm-hmm.
But what has it been like to see him last two games, giving you guys a scoring punch and kind of sticking with that?
It's been great seeing Dusty come out there and be effective when he gets his minutes out there on the court. And last game, I mean, he had some tough threes. He had some real big threes. I just wish he could have got the ball at the end of the game again. I feel like he would have sealed the deal. But, I mean, Dusty's been playing great. I'm real happy for him.
What have you seen, because he came in and everybody sort of knew he was a shooter. What other parts of his game have you seen improve?
He can get the defender off his feet, and he can get to the hole. He has a little floater I always mess with him with, call it Floater Nation. I mean, he just always gets in the lane and does that little floater that it kind of works for him. And he just needs to get to the line a little more. I feel like he can be effective that way, getting some guys in foul trouble.
You guys have played several games now. Since the last time you played Oklahoma, you were close up there. A couple things didn't go your way down the stretch. How much more confidence do you have with them coming in here tomorrow night?
I have a lot of confidence with this Oklahoma team coming in. I mean, they're a great team, and I feel like it'll be a battle. They have some pretty good bigs down low that got to make sure we stay out of foul trouble because, I mean, last game it was big for us. And make sure we keep their guards out of the lane and just play them like we did last time and try to go and look at that film, and we're going to see what we did wrong and just do it right this time.
Romero got a lot better, from last year to this year.
Mm-hmm.
And he played real well against you guys. What do you kind of see from him? It's made him sort of have a good year so far?
He's been hitting shots. Last year, we just guarded him in the post. He was just a straight post guy. Now he can face up a little bit. He can dribble, take some guys off the dribble. They have some plays for him that they run where he just ISOs. So, I mean, that makes it pretty tough to guard him when he can play inside and out.
And seeing a team like Oklahoma last year that struggled so much, and this year they're doing so well, such a quick turnaround, does that give you guys confidence seeing them do that?
I'm sorry, can you ask that question again?
Oklahoma, they
Yeah.
struggled last year, and you see them this year, battling some of the top teams in the conference. Does that give you guys confidence that you can turn this around pretty quickly as well?
Yeah, that just shows you. I mean, anybody, you can play with anyone. You just have to go into the game without worrying about, like, some teams have a mental advantage over other teams, and you go into it looking at their ranked number 2 or 3 in the nation. If you just worry about them just being a regular team, they have regular players that played AAU basketball in high school and junior college, and they got recruited just like you did, so you just have to play them like they're another team.
Just that we can do it when we had the drive to do it. Everyone was locked in that whole game. You could tell the fouls would drain us, but then we come right back like it's all right. Let's go and score. Get rebounds, get tough plays, and just getting it to the end like that and having a chance to win, put ourselves in positions to win was a moral victory in itself. But we really all were disappointed and wish we could have gotten the victory.
Where do you feel like? I think when you probably came up to this level, you knew it was going to be, but much bigger challenge in high school. Has it been more so than you expected, or less, or how do you kind of evaluate what you thought it's been like?
It's defensively definitely was the biggest learning curve and everything, but it's not as crazy as you think, and it's just a lot of just stronger and faster. But at the same time, your coaches are helping you get stronger and faster. So, you're starting to mediate yourself with everyone else, and then hopefully, catapult, above them. So that's what I hope we can do.
You guys are kind of coming down the home stretch here this season. Do you feel like, do you even really consider yourself a freshman anymore with all the experience you've gained so far, this year?
Oh, no, sir. Once the Big 12 started, even the coach said you're a sophomore now. Like, you've gotten your experience out in the games and stuff. So it really does feel like I'm a sophomore. Like, I've been playing a lot longer, and because I've learned so much, and at the same time, there's been a lot of games and a lot of minutes and experience.
In a game like West Virginia on Saturday, how much does that speed up that process, and how much more can you gain from a close game like that?
First off, it was fun. It was really fun to be in a game like that, with especially the environment they had there, and it also makes me eager for more, because this team we're going to be a lot better as time goes on, and we're going to have a lot more of those games, a lot more wins.
I know there's been certain times this season where you've been in a little bit of a slump, and then you'll have games where you bounce back. Is this sort of the first time in your basketball career where you've sort of faced those things, and how do you think you've kind of handled it, and who have you sort of leaned on to get through those things?
I've always had, I guess, streaky, like, it was always streaky shooter, and what my dad would say, you're streaky ball, like, trying to make me feel better, but it's happened a lot. Like, not as severe here, because, once you go in a slump here, they're on you tight, like, you got to be hitting to, be on. And my dad's who I really leaned on, keep me confident, just say you're going to be all right. And it ended up being all right, but I don't want to, talk about it and jinx it and go back and win.
As a shooter, is that just something that you kind of understand? It's when you shoot a lot of threes, or when that's kind of part of your game, that you're going to go through those situations more than maybe a guy who gets, all his money in the post.
Right. Yeah, it's a precision thing, and if a couple here and there misses, you got to just keep your mind right, and that's why I've been trying to help the team by going to the rim and rebounds and defense, just other things besides that, because I want to be able to bring more to the table than just that.
Who are guys that you watched, like, growing up, whether it be in college or pros, that you sort of not necessarily model your game after, but guys who you kind of take cues from and watched?
J.J. Redick, growing up, I watched him all those years at Duke. He was great to watch. Recently, Jimmer Fredette was really fun to watch, because his off the dribble was interesting, how crafty he was. And my favorite player actually was on the Lakers when I was really young, was Glenn Rice. I used to love watching Glenn Rice, and my dad will laugh, because that used to be my favorite guy ever, and that was with Shaq and all them, so it was a weird guy to like, but I liked Glenn Rice a lot.
Going up against Oklahoma tomorrow night, you guys played them tough up there, and then a couple things down the stretch didn't go your way. How much confidence do you have with them coming in here, knowing that you guys are more experienced, you're better prepared to play against a team like Oklahoma?
Well, the first time at their place, we thought we had a great chance, and we stayed with them, and then a run came about, and we didn't respond well. But I think this game we should be able to be ready, and definitely with the West Virginia game being close like that, we got our confidence is up, and we know when we play tough and together like we were against West Virginia, we can play with anyone.